Your top left arrow, your digestion arrow, speaks about how you ingest and take in information, food, the world, and overall your surroundings. And your bottom left arrow, your environment arrow, talks about your external surroundings and where you feel the most comfortable, the environment in which you are able to truly shine in your natural gifts. This also speaks to whether you observe or are observed within your environment. And I am going to film another video that specifically focuses on that component. Today's human design video is going to be talking about the 6 different environments, and we're going to take into account whether you are right facing or left facing in that bottom left arrow, because that adds a layer of variability to this environment variable. If you have no idea where to find this environment aside from just looking at the arrows, which tell you not a whole lot, click the link down in the description to myhumandesign.com and pull your chart up from that site. Jenna does actually specify your environment in the little write-up that she gives. So click that link, grab that chart, and a tiny bit of housekeeping before we get into the environment variables. Hello and welcome to, or welcome back to TheSimplyCa. My name is Alana, and on this channel you are going to find the tools, tips, resources, and coaching to help you live your most authentic, most aligned, truest to who you are, most soulful life you possibly can. And we do that through human design lifestyle coaching, whole food plant-based nutrition, as well as yoga and fitness videos. If you enjoy this content, please give it a thumbs up. Click on that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know every time I post a new video. Also, share this content out to those people who you think might benefit from it or might be interested in it. And doing all of those things really does help push these videos out into the YouTube algorithm and get more eyes on the content. It also personally helps me to get to that magical 1,000 subscriber mark, and we are getting close. So please do click on that subscribe button. It is a joy to make these videos, and I hope you continue to enjoy them and share the content. And with that housekeeping, let's get into the environment variable. So the variable arrows do build upon each other. So the first one that we pay attention to is that top left arrow, and you can click the link down in the description box to my variables playlist, and you can find out more information about the overview of the variables, but more in-depth information about that top left variable. I also really love that top left variable because it has to do with food and diet, and I love food, so that one's fun. Anyway, we are next going to be focusing on that environment variable. So as I mentioned in the introduction there, depending on whether your bottom left arrow points to the right or to the left, gives the variable, gives the environment its own flavor. And we're going to go through those flavors as we go through the 6 different environments. As a general overview, if your bottom left arrow points to the left, you feel more comfortable in known and structured environments. In these known environments, you're able to be observed. You feel comfortable so that you can shine, and you are then observed within those environments. So knowing your environment and feeling comfortable in that known environment is key if your bottom left arrow points to the left. If your bottom left arrow points to the right, you shine when you are observing your environment. You love to watch and see what's going on around you and observing and picking up those inputs and those stimuli from your environment. And because of this, you love new and changing, dynamic environments. Be led by your intuition and allow yourself to move and to flow into those new and exciting environments. Now, sort of to say this in a different way, those with a left-facing environment arrow like to be active and energized by their environment. And that activity and that energized quality allows you to be observed in that environment. And those with the right facing arrow enjoy having that passive receptivity, observing your environment. So as always, neither one of these are good or bad. It's just different. And so let's get into the 6 specific types of environments. The first type of environment is that caves environment. And this is that place where there is defined space around you. Open office settings are not for you. You don't feel productive in that environment. You enjoy having a structured series of walls or parameters around you. You might also gravitate towards an older style of home that has a defined kitchen and a defined dining room, not an open concept, single room living type of environment. Those with that left-facing environment arrow, if caves is your environment type, you are selective about who you are sharing that space with. And this is that instance where you feel the most comfortable when you're in your space and you know or you allow others to come in and out of your space. But you know it's your defined space, and you feel the most comfortable when you're in that known environment, and then others can come in and out and come to your home, and you're a host. You're someone who invites people over and shares that space, but it's on your terms. And then those whose bottom left arrow is pointing to the right, when you have caves as your environment style or type, you're more open to watching others and being kind of in those shared spaces, but it's important for you to still have those defined parameters around you. So for you, going out into the world, totally reasonable, but you definitely do prefer to be in a more structured space. Now the second type is markets. And those who have markets as their environment are a little bit more particular about the interaction and the exchange and where that interaction and exchange is taking place. So this is a concept where you're exchanging goods or you're exchanging energy with the world. And for some, there's a very specific way that you like doing that. So for those who are left facing, again, this goes into the known environment. So for you, this talks about like an internal environment, doing things in a space that is known and comfortable to you. So you might have already loved shopping online before COVID happened. You might be somebody who, similar to caves, really enjoys hosting other people in your space, bringing them internal to you. And for those with the right-facing environment markets arrow, this is about going out into the world. However, this is about having a clear and set list. Not necessarily going out into the world with absolutely no plan at all, but knowing what you need to accomplish and going out into the world, accomplishing those things, allowing that flow and that passivity and that receptivity to move with you, and then returning back. So it's kind of that exchange, but it's an external exchange. This can also kind of relate to working from home versus going to an office and working. So for those with that right-facing arrow, going to an office, going outside of the home and working might feel more aligned with your energy. And those with that left-facing arrow, you're actually probably loving the work from home life. I'm not markets, but loving the work from home life. The third environment style is kitchens. And kitchens are a place where it's like a melting pot, or it's a transformation that takes place. There's alchemy that happens in a kitchen. It's also a gathering place of different cultures and different food styles. So it brings people together and then transforms it into something new and different. Now, the interesting thing about the right and left facing arrows when it comes to kitchens is it actually just talks about the humidity level of it. So the kitchen itself is that place where transformation, alchemy, gathering place, different people from different walks of life, different history backgrounds, all of that kind of things can come together and coexist. If you are left facing, then you prefer that environment to have high humidity. And if you are right facing, you prefer that environment to have low humidity. So the environment itself, or like the quality of the kitchen, is the same. It's just whether it has high humidity, left facing, or low humidity, right facing. The fourth variable is mountains, and as you would expect, it speaks to your vantage point, being up above, getting to see the bigger picture, looking down on the picture, having a bird's eye view perspective, being up high and getting to see what is happening from above, rising above and viewing the world. If your environment arrow is left facing, you are active in this environment and you like to live your life on higher floors. Physically being above the busyness of the ground is where you prefer to be in your life. So working in an office building, living in a high rise, those types of things are important for you when you are living in the world and exchanging your energy with the environment and with the people around you. And then with those with a right-facing environment arrow and mountains as your environment style, this is about being connected to nature. So actually physically getting into the mountains and connecting with nature from a higher perspective. So it's kind of interesting because it's like that feeling of being grounded, but at an elevation. So you might do better in a town or a city like Colorado or Boulder, where you are up higher above sea level. You might like to live in an alpine town. And if that's not physically possible for you, don't worry about it. You can go into the mountains and experience that type of quality. The fifth environment type is valleys. And opposite to mountains, this is you are connected to being at the ground level. There's an ability to connect to the sounds that exist at ground level. If your environment points to the left and you are a valleys person, you prefer those narrow valleys, the ones where things are closer in towards you. So this is being in close proximity with others and having tight-knit conversations. This is also being in human spaces, so taking narrow roads or going into older towns that have narrow walkways or narrow roads might feel more comfortable for you. And then the right environment arrow, when it's about valleys, has to do with wide valleys. And these are those natural valley spaces where you can kind of see out and hear the sounds that are just like a little bit further off. So there might be a reverberation of a sound that comes from a distant place. So it allows you a bit more space and connection to nature while also being in that valley environment. And finally, the sixth valley is shores. And shores is considered to be a place of crossing or a place where the landscape changes. So it is any boundary, any barrier between two things. So the natural shore is the left-facing arrow, and this is that meeting of landscapes between water and land. It can be any water, any land, any shore space. It can also be that boundary between the plains and the woods, so that crossing of a boundary or that crossing of a landscape. And then the artificial or the right-facing arrow is really any boundary between two locations, any single threshold that you can cross over, or any threshold that can be observed. This could include sitting on a park bench somewhere and watching the water feature or watching people play in the garden. So again, it's that any time that there are multiple or two different landscapes to be observant of. So again, we will be diving deeper into observed versus observing or observant in another video. But for now, I hope that gives you just a high-level overview of the environment, different types, as well as the various different flavors that exist, whether you are right-facing or left-facing in your environment arrow. If you want to go more into your personal human design, you can click the link in the description to book a one-off human design reading with me. I am doing either a human design basics reading, or I do have a more in-depth human design combined with your energy, kind of a full chakra read. So if you want more information about those options, you can click the link in the description. I do also offer ongoing human design lifestyle coaching. Same link in the description. As always, if you enjoy this content, click the thumbs up, that beautiful subscribe button. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for being here. And the notification bell so you know every time I post a new video, usually every Sunday morning. Sometimes I sneak in an extra yoga video throughout the week. I think that is everything I needed to say. So have a wonderful rest of whatever it is that you are doing today, and I will see you in the next video.